Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to this session of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today we are overviewing the 6th chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatho Jayamudiraye Nashtha Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seveya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Lankhayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This is the 6th chapter of the first canto, where we are continuing with the conversation between Narada Muni and Vyasadeva. This chapter has a total of 36 shlokas, where Vyasa Maharshi is inquiring into Narada's previous life, because in the 5th chapter we saw how Narad Muni explained as to how he became Narad Muni, and in 6th chapter Vyasa Maharshi is asking more details about how Narad Muni became what he is now. So the initial shlokas of this chapter are Vyasa's enquiries, because Narad Muni spoke about the Bhakti Vedantis initiating him, giving him that sufficient knowledge. So then Vyasa Maharshi is naturally asking, what did you do afterwards? How did you pass your life? How did you attain this body? How did you remember your past life? And Narada Muni explains one by one how he lost his mother, how he traveled everywhere, and how by meditating on the Lord he was able to actually see the Lord. And then Narad Muni loses that vision, and then how Lord glorifies Narada Muni and Bhakti, and then Narad Muni is chanting the holy name and meeting his end in that particular life. And then he gets this spiritual body which is of Narad Muni, carrying the veena and always singing the glories of the Supreme Lord. So this is the sum and substance of chapter 6 of the first canto. Very pertinent and important points for us to learn are there in this chapter, and we will see them as we go through the chapter. So the first 4 shlokas are Vyasa Maharshi's inquiries. So Suta Maharshi is telling to the sages of Naimisharanya that hearing about Narada's birth and activities, Vyasadeva, who himself is Evam Nishamya Bhagavan Devarsher Janma Karmacha Bhuya Paprachatam Brahman Vyasa Satyavati Suta. So the son of Satyavati, he is inquiring from Narad Muni. Bhikshubir Vipravasite Vijnana Dreshtibhistava Vartamano Vayasayadye Tathakim Makarod Bhavan. Vyasa is asking Narad Muni, Bhavan, what did you do after the departure of the great sages who had instructed you in scientific transcendental knowledge before the beginning of your present birth? Vyasa Maharshi himself is a disciple of Narada, and it is very natural for Vyasadeva to hear from Narad Muni as to what he did after getting initiated by the spiritual masters who were Bhakti Vedantis. O son of Brahma, how did you pass your life after initiation? How did you attain this body, and how, having quit your old one in due course? So, he's further asking. Vyasa is asking this question so that everybody will take understanding from this. What is the question? Okay, you got initiated by these Bhakti Vedantis, and after they left, what did you do? That is why I said this is very pertinent for us, in the sense that the spiritual master is there. In this case, spiritual masters were there for Narad Muni, and they initiated him into the science of transcendental knowledge. And then what the disciple does, that makes all the difference between a successful disciple and a not so successful disciple. So that is why I said Narad Muni's history is very pertinent for all disciples, because we see Narad Muni as a guru for many people, whether it is Vyasadev, whether it is Dhruva, whether it is Prahlad. We know his glories as a guru. This chapter explains why is Narad Muni such a glorious guru, because he is actually a very glorious disciple. A very good disciple only will make a very good guru. If you have never been anybody's disciple, how can you be guru? And even if you simply assume the title of guru, can you actually ever do what Narad Muni has done? So, empowerment comes from guru to disciple. Therefore, anybody who is aspiring for this guruship, for the position as a guru, must know that first be a disciple, be disciplined, and not only hear the instructions. It is not only enough to hear the instructions. Hear the instructions and practice those instructions. That is what we are going to see in this chapter, what Narad Muni does. So, Vyasa is asking the questions from Narad Muni. What did you do? O great sage, time annihilates everything in due course. And how is it that this subject matter which happened prior to this day of Brahma is still fresh in your memory, undisturbed by time? Whatever Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasa Maharshi, the history that Narad Muni is speaking to Vyasa Maharshi actually happened in a previous day of Brahma. And we are not even able to fully ascertain the events that is happening in one day of Brahma. We as students of Purana and Itihasas get very confused. We cannot even explain Yuga Bheda properly. We have so many doubts and confusions. And here Narad Muni is actually speaking to Vyasa Maharshi about something that happened on a previous day of Brahma. So Vyasa Maharshi wants to make it very clear to everybody what is the position of Narada Muni. When we speak about Narad Muni in a previous life was the son of a servant maid, that may sound a bit, not so comfortable. So what we must learn is that it is not that he was simply the son of a servant maid. That is not a qualification or a disqualification. What really matters is what Narad Muni did after the Bhakti Vedantis left the place. Up to that, whatever happened, it is accepted as Narad Muni's great fortune that those people were there, the great Bhaktivedantis guided Narada Muni as a mere 5-year-old boy. But how did Narad Muni follow up is the most pertinent thing. Vyasa Maharshi is asking that not only this happened in your previous birth, it is also happening in the previous day of Brahma. And how do you remember all these things? From the 5th shloka to the 19th shloka of this chapter, Narada Muni is speaking about what happened and how the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself appeared in front of Narada Muni. Previously we have seen how Brahma chanting the only word that he heard, tapa, and he meditated, and the Supreme Lord presented himself in front of Brahma. And now, just a 5-year-old boy who is the son of a maidservant is able to meditate and get the Lord to appear before him in person. So this 5-year-old boy is not an ordinary personality. Not at all an ordinary personality. Narada Muni explains how he passed his life after the great Bhaktivedantis left. Bhikshubir vipravasite vijnane drishtibir mama vartamano vyavasayadi tate tad akarasham. Narada Muni said, the great sages who had imparted scientific knowledge of transcendence to me departed for other places, and I had to pass my life in this way. Srila Prabhupada says that as soon as the sages entered Narada Muni's life, there was a tangible change in his life even at the age of 5. That is an important symptom visible after initiation by the bona fide spiritual master. Actual association of devotees brings about a quick change in life for spiritual realization. How it so acted upon the previous life of Sri Narad Muni is described in this chapter. These are Prabhupada's words, that when we actually get the association of a transcendently situated spiritual master, as we previously discussed, a transcendently situated bona fide spiritual master is actually the disciple of a transcendently situated spiritual master. That is Shrotriyam, coming in a parampara of transcendently situated persons. So, by association of such people, there is a tangible change in the disciple's life. That is what is now being seen in Narad Muni's previous life. And how providence works. Narad Muni is explaining that I was only son of a mother who was not only a simple woman but a maid servant as well. Since I was her only offspring, she had no other alternative for protection. She bound me with a tie of affection. So very poor lady, very simple lady. These two had nobody other than themselves for one another. So that way the tie of affection between this 5-year-old boy and his mother was very strong. Okay? She wanted to look after my maintenance properly, but because she was not independent, she was not able to do anything for me. Narad Muni says, the world is under the full control of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, everyone is like a wooden doll in the hands of a puppet master. So, Narad Muni has realized that why is my mother not able to help me? although she is the only one around to help me, Narad Muni says, nobody can help anybody in this world because the Lord is the controller. And now Lord has taken a special interest in Narad Muni. Narad Muni continues to say, when I was a mere child of 5 years, I lived in a Brahmana school. I was dependent on my mother's affection and had no experience of different lands. Giving his background, it was a Brahmana school where his mother was working as a maid servant. So this boy has not seen anything in the world. No worldly experience whatsoever. More so naturally because he is just 5 years old. Even if his mother was affluent, there is not much far he could have gone. Any which way, he is completely unprepared for anything in the world. And then what happens? That is why I said the Lord has taken an interest in Narad Muni because the Bhaktivedantis have now met him. They have taught him, they have given him training. Once upon a time, my poor mother, when going out one night to milk a cow, was bitten on the leg by a serpent, influenced by the supreme time. Narad Muni is speaking with so much of virakti, so much of vairagya. He says, one day a snake bit my mother, but it was sarpo dashat pada sprishtaha kripanam kala choditaha. Kala chodita. It happened by the influence of time. That means Narad Muni has now clearly understood the time has come for my mother to leave me and go. Prabhupada writes a very beautiful sentence in the purport that is the way of dragging a sincere soul nearer to God. You see? Why? Because Narad Muni already said, in this world there are only the two of us. His mother and him. He is a 5-year-old boy. Other than depending on his mother, what would he do? Just imagine Narad Muni's position. And what makes him so great? And how does, now Narad Muni is continuing to explain. 5-year-old boy, Bhaktivedantis have come, they have gone, they have given him all the instructions. Now his mother dies by the bite of a serpent. I took this as a special mercy of the Lord who always desires benedictions for his devotees. Tada tadaham ishasya bhaktanam sam abhipsataha anugraham manyamanaha pratishtham dishamuttaram. So, simply he took it as anugraha. Abhipsitam, what? Bhaktanam sam abhipsitam means the Lord desiring welfare of his devotee. So Narad Muni thought, this is how the Lord is desiring for my well-being, my welfare. He has taken my mother away. Anugraham manyamanaha. He is thinking, he thought it like that, he took it like that. And he said, I started for the north. Disham Uttaram. I started walking northwards. Then Narad Muni explains how he lived his life as a parivrajaka. A parivrajaka means traveling through the Lord's creation. Narad Muni speaks about how he passed through many towns, villages, animal farms, mines, agricultural lands, valleys, flower gardens, nursery gardens, deep, dark and dangerously fearful forests, which were the playards of snakes, owls and jackals. Feeling tired, I took bath, drank water, simply to become relieved from exhaustion. So, this is how Narad Muni lived as a parivrajaka. A parivrajaka is somebody who actually depends only on the Lord and completely on the Lord. So when he is traveling, he really doesn't bother. You know, we also travel, is it not? How do we travel? We will plan for months together. You know, we will tie up all loose ends, and we are planning to travel for 10 days. We will plan for 20 days. And we will start planning 6 months prior. And we will schedule each day. Correct? This is how we travel. How did Narad Muni travel? Narad Muni simply traveled up north, just went on a walk. So whether it is a village on the way, there is a forest on the way, there is a river on the way, there are favorable things and unfavorable things, but simply not bothered. Srila Prabhupada says that this is how anybody getting some impetus in spiritual life, in this case Narad Muni, even as a small child, he could have wandered around looking at all kinds of various wonderful things and getting enamored by it. But even as a 5-year-old, Narada was not at all interested in any of these things. He went on a progressive spiritual path. So this is what we take away from Narad Muni's travel. How to depend on the Lord completely. So whether it's a snake infested forest, or whether it is a forest with wonderful flowers and wonderful fruits for eating and wonderful streams of pure water flowing, meaning very favorable for travel, or it is a forest that is infested with snakes, inhabited by jackals and various kinds of horrible animals, very unfavorable, going through villages, So sometimes we have to anticipate danger, but not bother about it. You see? Because we know sometimes in Krishna's service, some danger may lurk in the way, but it shouldn't matter. If we depend on Krishna, nothing will go wrong. Externally, it may look like it has gone wrong, but ultimately you will realize it won't go wrong. So Narada Muni is the ultimate example of this. And Narada Muni's travel is traveling like that. He says, I pass through hills and mountains full of reservoirs of various minerals like gold, silver and copper, through tracts of land with reservoirs of water filled with beautiful lotus flowers, fit for denizens of heaven and decorated with bewildered bees and singing birds. So whether it was a forest that had mineral deposits like gold, for Narada Muni it does not make any difference. Why? Samaloshtrascha kanchanaha. One who is an equipoised devotee of the Lord, who is interested only in spiritual progress, for him a lump of mud and a ball of gold is the same. Both have the same quality. What is that? Impermanence. With our eyes, we can never ever see the equality between a lump of mud and a ball of gold. Because we know a lump of earth is good for nothing. A ball of gold is, you can do so many things with it. But for a parivrajaka, both are the same. You can't eat a lump of mud, you can't eat a ball of gold either. You see? So, Narad Muni was completely equipoised. Prabhupada says that the parivrajaka has to travel like this, alone. And wherever he goes, he has to explain the transcendental science about the Supreme Lord to the inhabitants of the various places. Prabhupada gives the example of Lord Chaitanya being the perfect Parivrajaka. How he traveled through the villages and towns, down south all the way up to Kanyakumari, up north all the way up there, up to Vrindavan, everywhere, east, west, north, south, Mahaprabhu traveled and preached. Even when he had so many dangerous episodes during his travels, nothing affected him. You see? So Parivrajaka is somebody who is traveling and preaching, accepting all kinds of risks. And Narad Muni was showing what a Parivrajaka is. And Narad Muni says that sometimes I was thirsty, sometimes hungry. So I took bath in a river, lake and also drank water. By contacting water, I got relief from my exhaustion. And then Prabhupada says that simply by begging and getting something, a Parivrajaka can live. But actually a Parivrajaka is not going to somebody's house to beg, but rather to give him transcendental knowledge. Narad Muni was traveling through forests, he did not even bother any of those things. And then finally he says, I entered into a meditation. I saw a huge banyan tree in an uninhabited forest, and I began to meditate upon the super soul situated within, using my intelligence as I had learned from the liberated souls. So now he is actually putting into practice what his gurus had taught him. Dhyayatas charanam bhojam bhava nirjita chetasa aukantyesru kalakshasya hridyasin meshaner harihi. Narada Muni says, as soon as I began to meditate upon the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead with my mind transformed in transcendental love, Narada Muni says, Dhyayatas charanambojam bhava nirjita chetasa. So charanambojam, the lotus feet of the Lord, when I started dhyayata, when I started meditating with bhava, mind transformed in transcendental love, tears rolled from my eyes, and without delay the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna appeared in the lotus of my heart. Wonderful explanation by Narada Muni, that as soon as I started meditating on the lotus feet of my Lord, the Lord himself appeared within the lotus of my heart. Lotus has got a very special position in all our Shastras, Why? The Supreme Lord is always, we say his eyes are like lotus, his feet are like lotus. This Padma, Padmaksha, Padmangri, Pangajangri, like that. And why is the lotus the most special flower? Brahma was born on a lotus flower. So who came first, lotus or Brahma? Brahma was found when he opened. Brahma is the first created living entity. Right? It's a very interesting thought. And what did he see? He found himself sitting in a lotus. So was the lotus there before Brahma or not? Surely yes. And from where did the lotus sprout? From the Nabhi of the Supreme Lord. He is also called Padmanabha. So, lotus is actually a transcendental flower. The original lotus is existing on the Nabhi of the Supreme Lord. So that lotus is very, very significant in all our Shastra. So Narada Muni explains that the heart, my heart became like a lotus and the Lord appeared within that lotus. You see. Prabhupada says, Bhava is very significant here. Bhava can be attained only after you get transcendental affection for the Lord. Starting from Shraddha. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti. When you have Asakti for the Lord, then only Bhava will come. So, such Bhava Narad Muni has got. How? Narad Muni is getting these Bhavas because he has taken the instructions of his spiritual masters to heart. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Karya Aikya. When one actually makes the instructions from the lotus mouth of the Guru to be one with his heart, that is the only way to see the Lord in person. You see, that is how the Supreme Lord is appearing in front of Narada. Because when somebody is filled with transcendental love for the Lord becomes Aham Bhakta Paradhina. The Lord has to reciprocate. He has no choice but not to reciprocate. Premati Bhara Nirbhinna Pulakanko Ati Nirvritaha Ananta Samplavelino Napashyam Mubhayam Mune. O Vyasadeva, at that time being exceedingly overpowered by feelings of happiness, every part of my body became separately enlivened. Being absorbed in an ocean of ecstasy, I could see neither myself nor the Lord. You see, this is another wonderful thing. That when actually the Lord came, Narad Muni was so ecstatic, he did not see himself, he did not see the Lord also. Rupam Bhagavato Yattan Manakantam Shuchapaham Apashyan Sahasotaste Vaiklavya Durmana Iva. The transcendental form of the Lord as it is satisfies the mind's desires and at once erases all mental incongruities. Upon losing sight of that form, I suddenly got up being perturbed, as is usual when one loses that which is desirable. Now, Rupam Bhagavato Yattan Manakantam Shuchapaham. What does that mean? Prabhupada says this Bhagavat Rupam is actually a transcendental experience that can be had only by devotees, and it shows here by Narad Muni personally saying, I saw Bhagavat Rupam, that the Lord is not formless, is experienced by Narad Muni, to quote Prabhupada. But his form is completely different from all forms of our material existence. So, the Lord has a form, but that form has got nothing to do with our experience of form. This is where it gets complicated. Why? Because when the moment we say form, we think of a material form. But here, Narad Muni saw the transcendental form of the Lord because his indriyas become completely purified by transcendental love for the Lord. Now already purified state, he is able to see the transcendental form. But one moment Lord showed it and then he disappeared. So now Narad Muni says, I felt just the way one would feel when the most valuable thing is lost naturally. I desired to see again the transcendental form of the Lord, but despite my attempts to concentrate upon the heart with eagerness to view that form again, I could not see him anymore and thus dissatisfied. I was very much aggrieved. So Narad Muni goes on to explain that although I tried again and again, did not happen. He is making the point that us trying alone is not enough. The devotee is always dependent on the mercy of the Lord for everything. So Narad Muni understood. Okay, he showed me once, that is his mercy. He is not going to show me again, that is also his mercy. Why? Because I accept the Lord as completely independent and he can do anything. He is Swatantra. That is one level of acceptance of the Supreme Lord. That when he doesn't give me something, then I acknowledge, yes, that is independence of my Lord. And I am only the servant. So I don't deserve it. I desire for something and I don't get it from the Lord. If I am a devotee, I would say, okay, I may desire it, but I don't deserve it. So Narad Muni, he decided it is not going to happen. But the Lord speaks to Narada Muni as a special gift out of his transcendental mercy. Spoke to me with gravity and pleasing words just to mitigate my grief. It is not easy to get an audience of the Lord. We have discussed this several times. Whenever Brahma has a problem, whenever the Devas have a problem, they go to Brahma. They all go to the banks of the Kshetrasagara. They put up the application. But nobody is able to see the Lord even there. They just stand there and they chant their prayer and they go back. Then the Lord will manifest in the heart of Brahma and then give him some instruction. That's it. But here the Lord is again, first he appeared, now he is speaking to Narada Muni. So these are all happening when the Lord actually becomes merciful on the devotee. The Lord said, "O Narada, I regret that during this lifetime you will not be able to see me. Hantasmin janmani bhavan maam drashtum iharhati." In this janma, you cannot see me. You see? Those who are incomplete in service and are not completely free from all material taints can hardly see me. So he says, already that you have seen me once, that itself is very great because hardly anybody can see me. You see? So, Narad Muni was already situated in Vasudeva Tattva, pure goodness, in such a wonderfully secluded place, and he was worshipping, he was meditating and he saw the Lord. But now the Lord says, that's it, that's all you get in this Janma. You have only seen once my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me. Because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. You see? So, this is another wonderful feature of the Supreme Lord. That the Lord is always doing things that will increase the devotee's desire to see him. So, he is telling Narada Muni, I gave you just one darshan so that you will try more. And that will be the reason of your perfection. Why? The more one desires to see the Lord, the more one will become freed from material desires. And Prabhupada says that a devotee or a jivatma is not a dead stone, has desires. So, what he should do is not that killing desire is not detachment from material nature, but desiring for the Lord. That will actually help one to cultivate vairagya from the material nature. By service of the absolute truth, even for a few days, the devotee attains firm and fixed intelligence in me. Consequently, he goes on to become an associate in the transcendental world after giving up the present, deplorable material worlds. Lord is telling Narada, intelligence engaged in my devotion cannot be thwarted at any time. Even at the time of creation as well as that of annihilation, your remembrance will continue by my mercy. So, now Narada Muni has been given this special mercy by the Lord. He says, you simply go and keep on remembering me. Just remember me, and because I am showing you special mercy, even during annihilation time, you will not forget me. So, having said that, the Supreme Lord disappeared from Narada's vision, from Narada's hearing. The Lord disappeared. Narada Muni pays obeisances to the Lord, and then he continues to follow the instructions given by Lord until his death. He says that how I actually followed the Lord's words. Namanyanantasya hatatrapa pathan guhyani bhadrani kritani cha smaran gamparyatams tushtamana gataspriha kalam pratikshan vimato vimatsaraha. He said, thus I began chanting the holy name and fame of the Lord by repeated recitation, ignoring all the formalities of the material world. Such chanting and remembering of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are all benedictory. So doing, I travelled all over the earth fully satisfied and without being proud or envious. So, this verse actually in a nutshell explains the activities of a devotee. It exemplifies the nature of a devotee. What is that? He is always Namanyanantasya hatatrapa pathan guhyani bhadrani kritani cha smaran. So, simply he is remembering the holy name. He is speaking about it. He is speaking about the glories of the Supreme Lord. And he is not at all worried about anything that is going on in the world. Neither is he proud nor is he envious. See? So pride and envy are two things that has no place in the scheme of things as far as bhakti is concerned. Nothing to be proud of. Why? Because even this body will be taken away from me. Nothing to be proud of. Nothing to be envious about. In this material world, everybody has got everything that is temporary. What is there to envy about anybody? So, a devotee realizes it. And so, in due course of time, I who was fully absorbed in thinking of Krishna and who therefore had no attachments, being completely freed from all material taints, met with death as lightning and illumination occur simultaneously. Very coolly he says, how I met my death. You see, this is what Krishna says, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. And then, after that, I was awarded a transcendental body befitting an associate of the personality of Godhead. So, like that, he got all his karmas stopped. Because the Lord had given him that blessing. You continue doing this and you become my transcendental associate and become completely transcendental. At the end of the millennium, Kalpanda idam adaya shainaim basi udanvataha. So at the end of the millennium, when the personality of God and Lord Narayana lay down within the water of devastation, Brahma began to enter into him with all creative elements, and I also entered through his breathing. Narada Muni remembers all these things. Sahasra yuga pariyante uthayedam shishirkshataha marichi misrarshaya pranebhyoham chajatnire. So, after Sahasra yuga pariyantam, when Brahma woke up to create again, rishis like Marichi, Angiras, Atri, they were all created from the body of the Lord. I also appeared along with them. So, this is what Lord had given him, that special mercy that you will not forget anything. So, he even remembers entering the Lord's body at the time of Sahasra Yuga, end of Sahasra Yuga, and then waiting Sahasra Yuga and then coming out again. Since then, by the mercy of Almighty Vishnu, I travel everywhere without restriction, both in the transcendental world and in the three divisions of the material world. This is because I am fixed in unbroken devotional service of my Lord. avighata gati kvachit. He has got, anywhere he enters avighata, nobody will stop him. Why is that? Akshandita vrataha. Because he says that my unbroken vrata. So this is what makes Narad Muni what he is. We speak of Dhradavrata. Narada Muni says that I have never broken that vow that I gave my Lord in the very beginning. What was that? That I will always continue to remember you, chant your holy name and speak your glories wherever I go. So this is what gave Narad Muni the qualification to be the eternal associate of the Lord and entry everywhere. That is why we will see Narad Muni entering Dwaraka, you will find Narad Muni entering Kamsa's palace, you will find Narad Muni entering Ravana's palace, you will find Narad Muni entering Hiranyakashipu's palace. Name a place where Narad Muni is not allowed. Narada Muni also enters Krishna's Antapuras, So nowhere that this great personality is not allowed. There is no place in this world or in the transcendental world where Narada Muni is not allowed. Because of how he is always remembering, chanting and glorifying Krishna. Devadattam imam veenam swara brahma vibhushitam murchayitva harikatham gayamanas charamyaham. So he says, and thus I travel constantly singing the transcendental message of the glories of the Lord, vibrating this instrument called Veena, which is charged with a transcendental sound and which was given to me by Lord Krishna. So the Veena that Narad Muni is playing also is not an ordinary one. It is given by the Supreme Lord himself. And Prabhupada says that this Sarigama Padanisa is actually meant only to make tunes to propitiate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because that actually came from Narad Muni's Veena. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, whose glories and activities are pleasing to hear, at once appears on the seat of my heart as if called for, as soon as I begin to chant his holy activities. Whenever somebody is very much dedicated to speaking about Krishna, automatically he gets that flow of Saraswati. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tathojay Mudirayetno. So Saraswati Devi automatically will start facilitating. Here Narada Muni says for him directly the Lord is facilitating. Because whenever he says I become desirous to speak about the Lord, which he is always doing, then automatically it starts flowing. In Ramayana, Vatmiki is saying, Swadhyaya niratam tapasvim vagvidam varam. He is glorifying Narada. Swadhyaya niratam tapasvi vagvidam varam. That he is, Narada Muni, Swadhyaya niratam, he is always meditating about the Lord and vagvidam varam. He has got that varam, he has got that boon, that benediction to speak so sweetly also about the Lord. This all comes when the Lord becomes pleased by the endeavor of the devotee to speak about him. And Narad Muni says, Yetadhyatura chittanam matra sparshechayamuhu bhavasindhu plavo drishto haricharana Haricharyanuvarnanam. He says it is personally experienced by me that those who are full of cares and anxieties due to desiring contact of the senses with their objects can cross the ocean of nescience on a most suitable boat. Bhava Sindhu Plavo Drishto Haricharyanu Varnanam. How? By constant chanting of the transcendental activities of the personality of Godhead. So, simply by that, although one is so full of desire, so full of anxieties, so full of material problems, but if he simply chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, that acts as a boat to cross over. Narad Muni says, it is true that by practicing restraint of the senses by the yoga system, one can get relief from disturbance of desire and lust, but that is not sufficient to give satisfaction to the soul, for this is derived from devotional service to the personality of Godhead. Mukunda sevaya yadvat tatatmadha na samyati. So, yamadhibir yoga patai kama lobo hato mukhu. So, kama and lobha you can control by yamaniyamas, but mukunta sevaya, if the Atma wants actual satisfaction, he should actually engage in Mukunda Seva. So, yoga system, philosophical speculation, nothing will become successful without Mukunda Sevana, without serving Lord Mukunda. And he says to Vyasa, O Vyasadeva, you are freed from all sins. Thus I have explained my birth and activities for self-realization as you asked. All this will be conducive for your personal satisfaction also. So, Narad Muni says, why am I saying this to you? You are a sinless person, you can do this. What? The whole idea is for Narad Muni to get Vyasa Maharshi to write about Krishna's activities. So he says, you are also sinless, you can also do it. Thus addressing Vyasadeva, Sri Narad Muni took leave of him and vibrating his Veena instrument, he left to wander at his free will. And Suta Maharshi is glorifying Aho Devarshi Dhanyoyam Yat Kirtim Sharna Dhanvana Gayan Madhyan Idam Tantriya Ramayat Yaturam Jagat. All glory and success to Narad Muni because he glorifies the activities of the personality of Godhead. Sharna Dhanvaha, one who is holding the Sharna Dhanva. And so doing, he himself takes pleasure and also enlivens all distressed souls of the universe. So, this Harikatha Anuvarnanam is actually twofold. It helps. Even the speaker gets relief from all desires, gets relief from all material hankerings, and the hearer also benefits. So, Narad Muni, of course, is free from all these things. But simply by glorifying the Lord, simply by speaking Krishna Katha, it increases his transcendental pleasure. Narada Muni is already a transcendently situated person, but speaking Krishna Katha is so powerful that even Narada Muni finds it enlivening. And of course, the hearer gets greatly benefited by hearing this. So, this is how this chapter gets concluded, the 6th chapter of the 1st canto of Narad Muni's conversations with Vyasadeva. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Granth Raj ki jai.